what's the big controversy? Nothing.
Like, you're not surprised that Anthony Miller got traded, are you? You shouldn't
not
be.
at all. I mean, I guess it's a thing that happened, but no, we've talked about it all offseason. So
when George McCaskey goes on the radio in Chicago and basically throws you under the bus a bit, you have problems. I know George McCaskey doesn't make personnel decisions, but we knew where this was going with Anthony Miller. When they make those moves in free agency, you know where this could go.
George didn't drive a bus. Anthony Miller drove a bus over himself. George just didn't move it. He just put it in park. I mean, it was more surprising that he was still on the roster this late into July than anything else. So, they get some late round draft capital for a guy that, he looked promising. He really did look promising as a rookie. But, I think it's a good lesson learned for all players who go from year one to year two. I think we often talk about it on this podcast as a very important time period in a player's career because things happen so fast your rookie year. Your college season ends, you're going straight into draft prep, you get drafted, you show up at mini camp the next week, and then it's OTA's mini camp, you get a little time off, and you're right into training camp. There's very little time to actually learn how to be a pro. And so when you get to the offseason following your rookie year, and all of a sudden now you don't have draft prep, now you're just a professional player, and you need to learn how to essentially be a professional football player at the NFL level, and what that takes. Not everybody gets it. Not everybody gets it on and off the field, in the meeting rooms, in the playbook, everything it takes. There is absolutely no doubt Anthony Miller is extremely talented. Maybe a change of scenery will be good for him, but it wasn't happening here, and it was very clear that whatever happened after his rookie year, something was different, and he never was able to build on it.
He strikes me as a player who will benefit from that change of scenery. I don't know if he's going to be a 1,000-yard wide receiver. I think we would have seen that by now. And you may have the occasional breakout player who comes along every now and then, but it takes the right situation, right? And he's going to a situation that is arguably the worst in the NFL in the Houston Texans. I know Deshaun Watson reported the camp and whatnot, but that is... There's so many questions going on down there, and it's obviously one of the worst situations in the NFL. So I don't know if this is going to be his breakout year. He's got free agency coming up, but I just found, and I like Mike Fury, but the consistent messaging about him having to grow up. I'm talking about Anthony Miller, having him to mature as a player. When you say that repeatedly year after year after year, not only does it become a bit nauseating to hear that, but that in itself becomes a new red flag that was created after the draft. That happened internally at Halas Hall. That red flag was raised at Halas Hall after his selection in the draft. And I think it works both ways, sometimes with the coaching staff and the player. Obviously, the coaching staff won this one. They're entrenched now, with Matt Nagy getting more time with Justin Fields. When you lose the coaching staff's faith, you got problems. In most cases, you never get it back. Ask Mitch Trubisky about that as well.
Yeah, and so it'll be interesting to see kind of who takes over. I guess those snaps. The Bears have Damiere Byrd that they picked up. He's a pretty solid option. They also drafted Daz Newsome, who is going to start camp on the PUP list. So is Tariq Cohen, but. Anyway, I mean, look, this is the Bears traded a guy that we felt like was going to be traded months ago. Thought he'd be traded before the draft. Thought he'd be traded in free agency, something like that. For whatever reason, it's they were probably, if we're being fair, struggling to get anything for him. And then sometimes the market changes due to injuries or you get closer to the season, you realize you need a guy maybe a little bit more than you thought, and so the market changed a little bit, and the deal gets done, and that's that for Anthony Miller in Chicago.
Yeah, there was a point in time where I thought they're really going to give him I don't want to call it a second chance, maybe a third chance with the team. And when we were at minicamp, I know you weren't there, but when other guys, when guys that are signed to be your competition come in are consistently making more plays than you, I get you're in shorts. I get you're just in shells. I get you're just wearing helmets and stuff like that. And it's just a minicamp. But when they're that wide open and they're running past guys and they're scoring touchdowns, that's bad. That's bad for you if you're a bubble player. Your competition should not be that much better, that much more noticeable in those types of settings. And those new guys, the Bears receivers, Goodwin, Bird, they were more noticeable than Anthony Miller, considerably, significantly more noticeable than Anthony Miller in minicamp.